Most people your age have already quit. They've handed their life over to their chair, to their family, to whatever's on television. And honestly, nobody blames them. But there's a group of people between 75 and 85 who are doing something completely different. They're sharp, they're present, they still have fire. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what separates them from everyone else their age. 6 things. If you still do all 6, or even most of them, you are genuinely, statistically, extraordinarily rare. Stay with me, because number 4 is the one almost everyone gets wrong. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Most people don't age badly because of their genes. They age badly because they stop. They stop moving. They stop learning. They stop expecting anything new from life. They stop having opinions, stop making decisions, stop showing up, even for themselves. And it happens gradually. It's not a cliff, it's a slow, quiet retreat. First, they stop going out as much, then, they stop trying new things, then, they stop pushing back when something bothers them. Then, one day, they stop feeling like themselves at all. The world sees someone slowing down with age, but the truth, they've been practicing smallness for years. Now, the people I want to talk to you about today are different. You've seen them. Maybe you are one of them. The 80-year-old who still has an opinion about everything and isn't afraid to say it. The 77-year-old learning how to use new technology, not because their grandkid made them, but because they wanted to. The 82-year-old who walks every single day like it's a non negotiable appointment. What are they doing differently? 6 things. Let's go through them. Not because their doctor told them to, not because someone's watching. They move because they decided that movement is non negotiable. And here's what the science actually says: adults between 75 and 85 who engage in regular physical movement, even walking 20 to 30 minutes a day, show measurably better cognitive function, better balance, and dramatically better emotional health than those who don't. We're not talking about running marathons, we're talking about intentional movement. Every day, the key word there is intentional. There's a difference between moving because life requires it and going to the kitchen, to the bathroom, the ape, and moving because you chose to. One is maintenance, the other is mastery. People who are truly thriving at 75, 80, 85 treat movement like a meeting they can't cancel. They walk in the morning, they do gentle stretching, they garden, they take the stairs, whatever it is, they own it. If that's you, you're already ahead of most people half your age. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you learned something that genuinely surprised you? Not something you have watched on TV, something that made you lean in, think differently, or want to know more. Here's the thing about curiosity: it doesn't just fade with age on its own, it fades when we stop feeding it. People who are remarkable in their 70s and 80s have this in common. They're still asking questions, they still get excited about ideas, they read, they watch documentaries, they ask younger people what they think, and actually listen. Curiosity does something incredible to the brain. It keeps the neural pathways active. It forces your brain to build new connections rather than just running the same familiar loops. Researchers have studied cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against decline, and one of the strongest predictors: lifelong engagement with new ideas. Not genius, not advanced degrees, just staying interested. If you still get genuinely curious about things, a new story, a conversation, a new skill, that's not small. That is rare and it is powerful. This one's going to sting a little. Stay with me. There's a difference between having relationships and maintaining them. A lot of people in their 70s and 80s are surrounded by family, children, grandchildren, but are quietly, deeply lonely because those relationships have become one directional. They receive visits, they receive calls, they're cared for, but they've stopped being a presence in someone's life. They've stopped initiating, stopped contributing, stopped being someone that another person genuinely needs, not out of obligation, but out of love and real connection. The people who are extraordinary at this age, they still reach out first. They remember birthdays, not just wait for their own to be remembered. They still have friends, not just acquaintances, people they laugh with, argue with, confide in. They still invest in relationships outside their family circle. And critically, they're still interested in other people. Not just tolerated, genuinely curious about the lives happening around them. Loneliness is one of the single greatest health risks for older adults. greater than smoking, greater than obesity, but meaningful connection that is protective in every direction, mentally, physically, emotionally. If you are still the kind of person who picks up the phone first, who shows up, who cares, hold on to that. It matters more than you know. Here it is. Number 4, the one I said almost everyone gets wrong somewhere along the way. For a lot of people, their identity gets replaced. They stop being themselves and start being their role. They become the grandparent, the retired teacher, the person in the chair at family gatherings. They start referring to themselves in terms of what they used to do. I used to love painting. I used to be a good cook. I used to be sharp with numbers. Used to. And once you live in the past tense long enough, you start believing the story. But the people who are truly one of a kind at 75, 80, 85, they still have a present tense. They still paint, even imperfectly. They still cook, even simpler meals. They still have opinions, preferences, passions, things that are theirs. They haven't handed their personhood over to their age. They know who they are right now, not who they were, who they are. That's a choice. It is never automatic, and it gets harder to make the longer you wait. If you still feel like yourself, not a diminished version, not a memory, but a living, evolving, present tense person, that is extraordinary. Not passively, not just showing up for appointments and doing what they're told, and they're engaged, they're advocates for themselves. They ask questions at the doctor's office, they push back when something doesn't feel right, they research, they pay attention to how food makes them feel, how sleep affects their thinking, how stress shows up in their body. They don't treat their health like something that happens to them, they treat it like something they participate in. There's a term in medicine, health locus of control. People who believe they have influence over their own health outcomes consistently have better ones, not because they have more control, but because they act like they do. People who thrive in this age range tend to have a deeply internal health locus of control. They're not fatalistic, they're not just waiting to see what time takes from them. They're showing up, making choices, being intentional. Even small things, drinking more water, getting more sunlight, taking a short walk after meals, done consistently because they decided to, not because someone told them to. If that's how you approach your health, you are genuinely unusual. Most people never get there at any age. This last one isn't about a habit, it's about something deeper. It's about expectation. What do you expect from the time you have left? A lot of people, not consciously but underneath everything, have already decided that life's best chapters are behind them, that what's ahead is mostly decline, loss, and waiting. And that belief becomes a self fulfilling prophecy, because when you stop expecting good things, you stop creating the conditions for them, you stop saying yes, you stop starting things, you stop hoping. But the people who are truly remarkable at 75, 80, 85, they still believe something good can happen, not naively, not in denial of reality, but with a genuine, grounded belief that life still has something worth showing up for. They still make plans, something next month, something next season, a trip, a project, a conversation they want to have, a book they want to finish writing. They still invest in their own future, even when the future is shorter than it used to be. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That choice you to remain open, to remain expectant, to remain alive in every sense of the word, that is the rarest thing of all. If you still choose it every single day, you are one of a kind. Let me recap the 6 things. You still move on purpose. You're still genuinely curious. You maintain real relationships. You haven't surrendered your identity. You take active ownership of your health, and you still believe the best is possible. If you saw yourself in most of these, even 3 or 4 of them, I want you to hear this. You are not ordinary, not by any measure. The world doesn't celebrate people like you loudly enough. But the data, the research, the stories, they all point to the same truth. What you're doing is hard, and it matters, and it is worth continuing. Now, here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 6 things you feel strongest about. Which one is your anchor? Which one are you working on? I read every comment and I want to know. If this video meant something to you, share it with one person in your life who needs to hear it. Not because it'll go viral, but because someone you love might need this reminder today. And if you want more content like this about living fully, aging fiercely, and staying genuinely alive in every sense of the word, subscribe and hit the bell. We're just getting started.